everybody, it's Dr. Glauc.
And Lady Glauc.
Guess what? We are bringing our live show, Wife and Death, to Lebanon, New Hampshire, September 15th at 7:30 p.m.
That's right. Back to the Upper Valley at the Lebanon Opera House.
So I went to med school at Dartmouth.
Yep, I went to grad school there.
And we wanted to come back and put on a show for the community. We cannot wait. It's going to be a blast. You can find tickets at our website, glaucandflecken.com/speaking, or go to LebanonOperaHouse.org. We'll see you in September.
Knock, knock. Hi.
Hello and welcome to Knock Knock Hi. The high one. Knock Knock Hi with the Glaucomfleckens. I am Dr. Glaucomflecken, also known as Will Flannery.
I am Lady Glaucomflecken, also known as Kristin Flannery.
Every week I record hi
confused.
and I and hi. That means hi includes I and whatever. I just get confused. So anyway, welcome. We've got some exciting topics to discuss today. I think it's been a little while since we sat down and recorded one of these together. First, what is your tell me how you're feeling about the Star Wars universe?
The Star Wars. Oh.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you like a big fan?
No.
Are you like you'll tolerate it when it's on? You're not.
I have been completely uninterested and would probably even leave the room when it's on until now our daughter is into it.
She is.
And it makes it so much more fun when your kid is into something, because then it's not really about the thing. It's about like watching them react to the thing, you know? So I've enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, it's not she's just like enjoying it. She's
like obsessed.
The other day she looked at me, she's like, I'm going to consume. She's like weird, like non sequitur. It's like, Dad, I'm going to consume every piece of media about Star Wars. Like very matter of fact.
Every last one.
Every piece of media. I was like, even the books? She's like, even the books. And like when you look at you go on Disney Plus.
Yeah, there are so many.
We're also trolling her a little bit by we're playing a game and it's like, who in your family is most likely to get stuck in a revolving door? Which is also this daughter.
It's a thing she has done before.
But she is we trolled her by calling her a Disney fan.
Because technically
big Disney fan.
She loves Marvel and she loves Star Wars. And Disney owns both of those. So technically she is a big Disney fan.
And as a teenager who's on the verge of high school, very like,
yeah, like that's not cool.
Careful
She's too old for
about
Disney.
her image.
Yeah.
Super careful about her image. In addition to like how it relates to us as a family, I guess. But we just watched a Rogue One, which is one of my favorite. That's such a sad movie.
It really is. I'm glad I knew ahead of time what happens because
it is one of the best. Like seeing the 2 seasons of I don't want to like go deep into Star Wars yet. That's not the point. But honestly, watching the 2 seasons of Andor straight into Rogue One, fantastic viewing experience.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Fantastic. And so now she's going to like rewatch the original trilogy again because that leads into
then it goes to New Hope.
To New Hope and then so on. So anyway, we are invested right now.
All Star Wars all the time.
The Flannery household
is
all about Star Wars currently. So
until the next obsession.
So if any of you parents who also have kids that like super into it have any suggestions,
or if you yourself are super into it,
really like dive into it and make it like a special thing, please let us know because like I've seen all the Star Wars movies, but I was never like obsessed with it. It was never like is my dad I remember my dad telling me when A New Hope came out that like people would go see that movie,
right?
Turn around, buy another ticket, and see it again.
Right, it was like groundbreaking at the time.
That's like all the special effects and everything. So it's one of those fun parent things to experience.
It is fun now that they're getting older and they can like enjoy the things that we either enjoyed as teenagers or still currently do. Like this is a really fun stage of parenting.
Speaking of getting older. So I want to tell you about the story and the reaction to it.
Okay.
All right. So I I don't know if you heard about this, but we have a 72-year-old medical school graduate.
Oh, I don't
72
think I
years
have
old.
heard this.
I want to say, I don't know for sure, but it's the oldest person to ever graduate from medical school. And her name is Dawn Zweitgeest Kraft, I think is how you say her name. And just an incredible story. She's a former nurse practitioner and had delayed her dream of becoming a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Had 4 kids, and ended up going to getting a medical degree, and is now pursuing a 3-year family medicine residency. So, what's your reaction to that?
Good for her.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Not everybody was as enthused. Which kind of threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
I saw some comments on social media that were like, why would you do that? You're just taking a spot away from somebody else.
Is my official reaction to that.
They sounded like I sneezed with that sound.
Yeah.
One of my sneezes.
Yeah, exactly.
I sounded like a horse the other day when I tried. I have these partial sneezes.
I think I told this story on
Did you already
an episode.
Oh yeah, it sounded like a horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like a.
Or maybe it wasn't the show, but I told it somewhere, and oh man, I could barely get through without cracking up. Yeah,
it's like that kind of thing. It was like I just gave a little kind of horse noise there at the end.
Which is funnier knowing that you do have a history of sneeze attacks where, first of all, you sneeze 20 sneezes in a row. It's never just one. And then 75% of them don't go to completion. They don't come all the way out.
We need a sneeze expert on the podcast.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to this medical graduate.
Yes.
So first of all, here's why any argument why this is a bad thing is people were saying, well, you shouldn't do that because we need that. You shouldn't go through med school unless you're able to practice for 20, 30 years. First of all,
it says who?
First of all, people are leaving medicine up to 10 years.
Yeah.
So I don't buy that whatsoever. But also, this graduate is going into family medicine.
Yeah, we need family medicine.
Every year there are
doctors.
open residency spots that do not get filled in family medicine. So what are we doing? It's not like, I suppose you'd have an argument if it was getting into plastic surgery and there's a line out the door. But even so,
if that's the person that gets the spot, that's because that was the person they wanted. Exactly.
They earned it.
It's such ageism to say you shouldn't do that because you're stealing a spot. No, she earned the spot.
Absolutely. So, congratulations, I want to say.
Yeah.
And man, I'm 40.
Can you imagine going back and
just the sleepless nights? But this means from 68 or so to 72 was going through med school, all the studying.
Right. So if she's got the stamina to do that, I don't think she's going anywhere anytime soon, you guys.
I've always told students this. I was like, if you can get through med school, you can get through residency. It's a different type of demanding. Honestly, it is more physical to go through. It's the stamina, it's the staying up, but you also do a lot of that in med school too.
Right, you're up late studying.
And it's a different kind of anxiety in med school, but that still takes a lot of energy. Just the mental anguish of being uncertain whether or not you're going to match and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of relief that comes with oh, I have a residency. If I can just get through residency, I know I'll have a career.
Yeah.
You'll have a career once you match.
Mm-hmm.
And so that takes away some of that stress and the ATP you're using up.
Mm-hmm, right.
But then you're also could legitimately harm people in residency. And so there's another source of mental anguish there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think anybody giving this graduate anything other than praise and congratulations and best of luck needs to.
Those are inside thoughts.
Needs to get off.
You don't let them out.
The internet and leave society for a little bit and come back with a better attitude.
Yeah.
How about that? Okay, so speaking of med school, we're gonna stay on med school for a bit.
Okay.
I don't, as you know, I don't frequent X anymore.
I've caught you on there a few times.
I'll tell you, I use it. I still get on there for live sporting events
Yeah.
because I still have not found. Maybe you can help me because you're more, you know things. You're more like around. You kind of got the ecosystem in your head. Is there a better place to like monitor, see the public reaction to live ongoing events?
Unfortunately, no. I mean, there are some other options that are
Blue
like
Sky.
Twitter,
There's Blue
right? Or
Sky.
like X.
Yeah.
It's Blue Sky, Threads. To some extent, Substack because it has notes, but like that's tends to be a slower reaction to things. So unfortunately, X still is
I never,
the like most reactive place to see things in real time.
but the problem is a lot of the reactions are awful
Yes.
because it's like a lot of bots,
Yeah,
lot
and a
of
lot of just the culture there is a lot of like
harsh,
and some
negative
hatred. Yeah,
hatred.
very negative.
Oh,
Yeah.
but like I do like it for sports. I can't quit it for sports. And I've tried to do the
Mhm.
Blue Sky thing. There's just not as many people there. So it's like
Exactly.
I just don't I don't get that anyway. So especially with the NBA playoffs been going on, I've been
Mhm.
doing a little bit more. And also I've gotten into softball. Do you know that? It's another
There must
sport.
be a Texas
It's-
Tech reason.
There is.
Is that what it
Texas
is?
Tech is in the women's College World Series. I mean, it'll be over by the time this episode comes out. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
well over by a few weeks, but it's been fun to watch. So anyway, so when I get on there, though, I don't just see the sports. Obviously, like the
Yeah.
algorithm's going to send me whatever. And one thing I do appreciate is seeing Mark Cuban on
Mm.
X.
He's everywhere.
But
Let me tell
he's on
you.
LinkedIn
He's
too,
on
right?
LinkedIn. Yes, he is very active, and I think that it really is him. Like, I don't think it's somebody operating his account.
Oh, it's him.
Yeah.
It's you
Like,
could,
the voice is very
yeah, when you see him in
distinctive.
interviews,
Mhm.
he talks is the same talking points and kind of the same seems like the same cadence that you would see in
Exactly,
his
yeah.
written. I think he does voice to text, honestly.
I bet so.
There's lots of
Like,
typos.
not a lot of, punctuation
Yeah,
and stuff.
a lot of typos. But he's probably busy, doing other things
Yeah.
while also doing that at the same time.
Right.
Um, and so anyway, I was on the other day and just getting stuff, and he's I really love what he's been all about
Yeah.
with healthcare.
Mhm.
Cost plus drugs. We've
That's
talked
right.
about that on this podcast.
Mhm.
Just a way his dedication to trying to cut out middlemen
Yeah.
in healthcare. I
Right.
love it. I absolutely love it. He made a comment though about med school that I was kind of like, I'm not sure about that.
Mhm.
So he basically, and I've heard him say this before. In fact, basically the conceit is that uh, if we make med school free,
Yeah.
that would help fix our primary care crisis.
Yeah, like, I think what his argument is, you make it free with the, condition that if your med school is paid for, you will go work for X number of years in certain fields, certain locations, what have you.
So as
If you don't want to do that, that's fine, but then you pay for your
have to
own
pay
med
for med school.
school. Yeah.
Right. So it's more of a like kind of like that's how military scholarships work, right? The
Mhm.
military will pay for your med school, but then you have to do X number of years of service, and so doing the same thing, but for like rural communities.
Mhm.
And it's a I forgot that I guess the comment that I saw didn't like elaborate on that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Because I think we actually do have some schools that are totally free now.
Yeah, because of donors and things.
And it was
Mhm.
be interested to see, and I did look into this, like before and after Matchless, and and did it change? Did without any financial burden, were more people willing to like go into primary care
Yeah.
fields? and no. So I think you do. I guess he's right. You probably do have to like tie it to a service.
Yeah.
Now there's
well, either that or you have to make it not a miserable experience to practice in certain.
So that's the other part of it, right?
specialties.
Like it's not. I think. Well, the fact that med school can be free, and we still don't see more people choosing that path says it's not just finances.
Right. Exactly.
Now we do have student loan forgiveness,
Yeah.
which has been,
Mhm.
which I don't know. I actually haven't kept up. I don't know if that's gone away or not. If it's still around, but where you can work for like a nonprofit, a very specific organization.
Yeah. Governmental.
Yeah, but
A public
where
institution.
you do that for 10 years and you get all your loans forgiven.
Yeah. 10 years is a long time to have nothing happen.
Right.
So,
So I don't think that's not a good enough either. And so the issue with like tying free med school to rural service, like how do you define rural service? Because it can't
Yeah.
just be nonprofits, because there's nonprofit hospitals everywhere.
well, the education world has definitions for what, because they have this similar issue, right? Of rural schools, city centers, so there's always a set of criteria that medicine could borrow from
Mm,
if they needed to. Like people have solved this issue.
okay. I'd feel good about that as a possible solution then.
Yeah.
Because it would be, I mean, that would be more enticing to versus student loan forgiveness, where you're still paying for your med school, but
Hmm.
then you have to satisfy conditions to get your money back,
Right.
versus just never having that debt.
Yeah. Knowing up front, okay, here's what I'm signing up for.
Yeah. I think though it would still be on the kind of the spectrum of the military though, where, if you're hoping for like, 20% of the med school class to take that option, like that,
Hmm.
maybe there's one, maybe one or two,
Hmm.
right? So you gotta fix the downstream effects too.
Or there'd be more people taking you up on the option, but out of a place of desperation rather than interest. And so then it begs the question, like, so what happens when they go into practice and they don't actually like what they're doing?
Right. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
maybe they just leave. Maybe
You just gotta address
you got to make it a more sustainable system to work in, is really what it boils
make
down
it
to.
nicer. Make it nice. I do think there's probably something to this, direct primary care that a lot of people are going, that a lot of primary care folks are going to. I heard about it
Yeah.
just, last night from another doc who transitioned from traditional Medicare,
Hmm.
uh, Medicare Advantage, seeing all the insurers, to a direct primary care where you pay a certain amount of money per month and you just have access to a doctor.
What is what is the argument against just doing that? Because if it were an easy fix, obviously everybody would be doing it. So that sounds a little bit like
Yeah,
pay for play, is it not?
it
For
is.
patients?
Well, it's the argument against it is that, you would be leaving out, people who just can't afford that at all, that are
Right.
on Medicaid, and so, you're having doctors that are leaving that system to having, there's got to be more upfront payments involved
Yeah.
that people might not be able to afford. But, you know, and maybe we should have someone who like does DPC to
Come
actually
on the
talk about
show.
it,
Yeah.
because the finances of it, I could see both ways for sure, because something's got to be done. And if it's, and every person I hear that does that goes that route, it seems they're
They
happy with
love
it.
it. Yeah.
But again, is that just confirmation bias? It's like,
Or self selection. Yeah. That
or
like
whatever the bias
people,
is.
yeah. I think it's a selection bias.
There you go.
People that are interested in that, like people for whom it would be a good fit, are the ones that are
Yeah.
attracted to it in the first place.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, if you have like, you pay a certain amount of money for to have access to your doctor, well, but what about like that supposes you'd like just get rid of health insurance, but then what if something like, what if someone has a cardiac arrest?
Right. If it's just
So
direct primary care.
so maybe they're doing it for access, but then these are also, like, I'm talking about the patients.
Hmm.
They also have insurance, like a high deductible plan or something for like catastrophic emergencies.
Right.
So maybe that's the way that people are doing it, which is even more like, how do you pay for that if you don't have as much money? So anyway, I'm telling you, we got it. We need a hybrid system. Let's all go look at Australia. Please, can we go look at Australia? Can we get that going? I love it.
And also, as we're considering other options, like, I think that people are expecting there to be some perfect solution. Because they'll look at Canada and say, well, yeah, but they have to wait forever for some things. And that is true. Like, there's trade-offs for any system.
Yeah, nothing's
But
perfect.
like, I think that it's safe to say, if you just look at the data, what we've got going on is not working well.
Ain't working, folks.
No. So I think there's a lot of room for
something's got to be done.
Improvement. Let's not go for perfection. Let's just go for improvement, shall we?
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about my least favorite organ of all time. Hey, Kristin, remember how you love eyelid mites now?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of confusion out there. I want to clear something up.
Okay.
All right. People think they can get eyelid mites from dogs and cats.
Can they?
No. These particular Demodex mites are specific to humans.
Okay.
So spread from dogs and cats is not expected. That's a myth.
Can't get them from cuddling our poodle.
No. Demodex mites that cause blepharitis live on humans. Most adults already have them. They just usually don't cause problems. It's when they overgrow that they can lead to itchy, red, irritated eyelids. Those little collarettes.
Mm-hmm, the crusties at the base of the eyelashes. Right. And the good news is there's a prescription eye drop available for Demodex blepharitis.
That is great news. To learn more about eyelid health and Demodex blepharitis, visit miteslovelids.com. Again, that's miteslovelids.com to learn more. This ad is brought to you by Tarsus Pharmaceuticals. We are very excited to tell you about a healthcare news podcast that just came out. It's called Medlines.
See what we did there? Medlines, headlines.
That's good. That's good, right? It's a weekly wrap-up of everything in our field, from breakthrough discoveries to research, politics, pop culture.
Yeah, I think the best way to think of it is kind of like NPR's Up First podcast, but for all things healthcare.
And we're excited to be a part of the team behind it, along with our partners at Human Content and our inaugural sponsor, the New England Journal of Medicine.
Yeah, we wanted there to be a podcast out there for busy healthcare professionals to stay informed on the go without taking a big chunk out of your day.
It's the episode's like 15 minutes.
Yeah, or less.
That's like the length of a cataract surgery.
Exactly. Episodes
of Medlines are out now wherever you get your podcasts, with new episodes out every Friday. Check it out. All right, we're going to get into some medicine, some anatomy, some physiology. Because you like to troll me.
I do.
Sometimes.
I love nothing more. Let's be honest. You know, the entire Lady Glaucomflecken brand, or whatever it is, started as being your heckler.
Yeah, you did.
On Twitter.
Social media
Those
heckling.
Were the days. People enjoyed it too. Like,
yeah, it was good. It was pretty solid.
Yeah. Because it's lovable heckling, right? Like, I'm not just being a jerk.
Now the heckling is just people being mean.
Yeah, that's trolling. That's different.
Exactly. So you're more of my heckler.
Yeah.
All right. So you heckle me sometimes by sending me things about the spleen. Mm-hmm. And again, I've said time and time again, we don't need a spleen. We need 2 livers. What does a spleen do? Well, I figured, can I just teach you a little bit about the spleen? Well, actually, first, tell the people what you sent me.
Yeah, I taught you.
Tell the people what you sent me.
Okay, I sent you a video, like a YouTube short, I think, this talking about this group of people, Southeast Asian islands. They are called the Bajau people. They live a very, like, almost, I think entirely, actually, like, sea-driven life. Like, they live in the sea. They live on houses on stilts, things like that. So it's a ways away from land. They just have adapted to life in the sea. One of the things that has meant is, you know, they live in these areas. It's like Indonesia, Philippines, that area that has a lot of coral and a lot of like fish, essentially, like resources for food and whatnot, that they, you know, those are plentiful, but they're hard to get to. They're underwater. So they have to dive down to get them. And it turns out that they have been evolving larger spleens. And they look to see, like, is this actually evolution? Is it just, what? It could be anything, right? But they looked in their genetics, and it turned out that, yes, there was some gene, I think on the Y chromosome, where, like, if you have... I should have looked at the details here, but, like, if you had 2 alleles of whatever this gene was, wherever it was, then you had, like, a really large spleen. If you had 1 allele, you had a larger than average spleen, and if you had none, you just had an average-sized spleen. And it turns out that these Bajau people do have more of this mutation. So they, that begs the question. Clearly, the spleen is doing something that helps them stay underwater.
Listen, it's great.
I wonder if Michael Phelps has a large spleen. Somebody
Okay.
let me know.
All right, look. Yes.
Is Michael Phelps doctor out there?
They have a 50% larger spleen than typical humans.
Like, that's a large difference.
It's a large difference. And the spleens, let's talk about the spleen, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. It's in the left upper quadrant.
Okay.
All right up there underneath your rib cage.
Mm-hmm.
And it most, like 90% of the time, it just causes problems.
Okay, you have to say what you mean by it causes problems.
It gets
because I think 90% of the time it does nothing. It's just sitting there.
I think both of us are wrong. Don't.
Probably true.
For the next 10 minutes of this podcast.
This is not medical advice and probably not even scientifically accurate.
There's going to be jokes. It's scientifically extremely inaccurate. All right.
Except for the Bajau people part. That part is true.
Real. I'm going to clown on the spleen here.
Yeah.
Listen, when you get, did you ever get mono?
Mm-mm.
You never got mono?
I never did.
I got a horrible case of mono in college. It was bad.
Well.
You get splenomegaly.
Mm-hmm.
Spleen gets big.
Is that where this has come from, this hatred of the spleen?
Well, my spleen was fine.
Oh, you didn't get that?
I didn't get that. No, I just had the worst sore throat I've ever experienced in my life. And then if you get into an accident, you get splenic lacerations.
Mm-hmm.
I was told I couldn't play sports. That was the thing I really was.
While you were sick?
For like, I remember it being like several weeks.
Afterwards?
Yeah, like 6 weeks or something. I wasn't allowed to like play Ultimate.
I doubt you
sports.
Followed that rule.
Oh, I did not.
Mm-hmm.
No, I did not. Because I didn't have you around to like enforce it. Because I'm a child.
This is why men who have wives live longer. That is a true fact.
That's a true fact?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. I guess I better stick around.
Speaking of which, have you called your cardiologist?
Hey, listen, I know, I will. Right after we're done with this episode, I'll give them a call. I'll get in, have them check out my thing. Okay, so back to the spleen, lacerations. And not only that, but like it proliferates. You can get what are called splenules.
Mm-hmm.
Like little tiny spleens. And all they just like collect blood.
Mm-hmm.
And which is why in the Bajau people, the spleens are so much bigger because the spleen acts as a reservoir for oxygen.
Yes, that is the mechanism that helps them stay underwater.
It accumulates all the blood, and in blood you have hemoglobin, and in hemoglobin you have oxygen that's bound to the hemoglobin.
Exactly. So more red blood cells, more oxygen, could stay underwater longer.
So during their diving, right, they're like in this apparently, like obviously oxygen poor environment, and the spleen's like, oh, now's my time. See, the only time it's useful is when like you're diving like 50 meters below the surface of the water. How often does that happen?
We all came from like the water.
Yeah,
is the thing.
Okay. So that actually proves my point. In like
that, it's like vestigial.
In like 5,000 years, the spleen's going to be like the appendix.
I don't know. We need oxygen. I bet there's probably, in fact, I think I may have even seen something about this once. People who live at high altitudes probably also have larger spleens.
You're making this up.
I am halfway making it up, but I have seen something where people at really high altitudes have evolved to handle lower oxygen levels.
The best argument for the spleen actually having a useful purpose is that it does aid in removal of encapsulated bacteria. So if you lose your spleen, you got a real big problem with with strep,
Mm.
like pneumonia, certain species of bacteria.
That right there, that's an argument to just let the spleen do its thing to me. That stuff can kill you.
Anything can kill you.
Yes, I know, but that stuff is known
You could
to
walk out of the
kill.
street, you get hit by a bus.
Okay. However, I think statistically speaking, it's more likely that especially immunocompromised and babies and elderly would die from strep throat, pneumonia, etc., than walking out in front of a bus.
There you go. If you lose your spleen, splenic dysfunction, either through the splenectomy or sometimes you get an autosplenectomy, like sickle cell disease, where your spleen basically infarcts and you just don't have a spleen anymore. Increases your susceptibility to encapsulated organisms, against which patients should be vaccinated. Most to least common is pneumococcus.
Hold on. Encapsulated, or you just said encapsulated bacteria, but this said you should be
Organisms.
vaccinated. So that
Yeah.
can
You can get vaccinated against bacteria.
oh,
Yeah.
I guess I didn't really ever think about that. Whether I've just always sort of assumed viruses, but it's anything.
Pneumococcus.
Yeah. Okay. Tetanus, probably.
Haemophilus
Is that a bacteria?
influenza.
That
Tetanus.
causes tetanus.
Yes, that is
Okay.
a bacteria.
All right.
Yep.
Well, I'm not a doctor, people, so I didn't know that.
It's yeah, that's actually good. I bet. Well, see, the thing is, that's why I'm so lucky to have you here on this podcast, is because like me and like every other doctor just assume it's common knowledge that you can have vaccines to any organism,
Mhm.
but it's viruses and bacteria.
This is interesting because people want antibiotics all the time because they understand
Yeah.
that kills bacteria. They don't understand it doesn't work on viruses. So they want the antibiotics, but they don't want the vaccines.
Right.
Perhaps if more people understood that vaccines also work on bacteria.
So the three things you need to be aware of if you don't have a spleen
Mhm.
that you got to be vaccinated against
'Kay.
is pneumococcus,
Okay.
which causes a lot. I love saying that. This is fun. Pneumococcus. It just rolls off the tongue. That sounds like a
It
spelling
rolls off
bee
the
word.
teeth more than anything else.
Pneumococcus. Meningococcus.
Mm.
Meningitis. Haemophilus influenza type B. Hib.
Blood
We call it
flu?
Hib. Yeah. Yeah.
That with that?
It's a bacteria though.
Hmm.
Even though it's influenza. How about that?
That's confusing.
That one is.
I don't like it.
That one is confusing. But also, and you might say, well, see, Glauc and Flecken, like we need the spleen. You got to get vaccinated, and it's not like you can't still get like
Some people
treated.
cannot be vaccinated.
Okay, but like, come on, you can also just be treated if you get it, and
Some of those sound rather scary. I would rather have a spleen that helps me deal with them.
after you get a splenectomy, you know what you can find in the blood? Something called Howell-Jolly bodies.
You're making that up.
I'm not. Howell-Jolly bodies.
Jolly bodies?
Jolly bodies.
Jolly.
Yep, jolly. Yeah. This is the problem with naming conventions in medicine is like Dr. Howell and Dr. Jolly had a
Oh, it's a capital J.
massive argument over
Jolly
who
Howell, Howell-Jolly.
exactly. And like meanwhile it's just about like a nuclear remnant that you can get from a disrupted cell in the blood because you've lost a spleen or something. And it's like, who cares, guys?
Yeah.
Just like come up with don't even name it after yourself.
Listen, clearly Jolly should have won that argument because that is the memorable name there.
Like have some kind of cool name. Like laser fragments. Like razor fragments. That's a good one. Like it's something that actually looks like the thing, but sounds like the thing that you're looking at.
Yeah, that would be much easier.
Like, come on, like help a med student out.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I think we're treating our egos is what we're doing.
All right. So after this discussion, are you more or less pro spleen?
I'm pro spleen. Sorry.
It's the Bajau people that got you.
Yeah, that's convincing.
How deep do they can dive to depths of 70 meters.
Hold their breath for up to 13 minutes.
So I'm American.
That is such a long time to hold your breath.
70 meters to feet. 230 feet. So I love football. So 230.
What is that in yards?
230 feet to yards.
76 yards.
76
and a half.
yards. So about as far as Patrick Mahomes can throw a football.
There you go.
Something's not right with my brain.
Oh.
That's how I interpret that.
Many things.
So,
yeah, it's impressive.
So yeah, Bajau. Shout out to the Bajau people and their giant spleens. And we'll leave it at that for our Glauc talk for today. If you have thoughts about spleens, please give us an email. knocknockhi@human-content.com. Visit us and our Human Content Podcast family on Instagram and TikTok at Human Content Pods. You can also leave a comment or review on our YouTube channel at Glaucomfleckens. All right, we love seeing those. We read those comments. Check them out. At JMVH70C on YouTube said, regarding the Bend health situation, thank you for advocacy. Or they think they mean the Eugene health situation.
Is it also happening in Bend?
No, I don't think there's something happening in Bend.
Oh.
Thank you for your advocacy on this. It is so important.
Bend, incidentally, is in Central Oregon.
It is. Oh, I got in trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, I got
No,
in
you
trouble.
said Southern. That's what it was.
I called it Southern.
You called Eugene Southern Oregon.
But then later on, I call it Central because it is like more central, but Central is like central.
Yeah.
It's like over.
East.
And so I learned after bringing this up to the group of at the Eugene event that I went and spoke at,
Mm-hmm.
I made some fun of myself and they all made fun of me as well. That it is Southern Willamette Valley. That's how
That's very specific, Eugene. I mean,
that's what it is.
There's
Southern
most of Oregon
Willamette
is divided by like Southern Oregon.
It's not the coast.
Eastern Oregon,
No one
Central
says Western.
Oregon.
No one says Western Oregon.
Yes, they do.
No, people don't say Western
They
Oregon.
say Western
they say the
Oregon.
coast or you're not the coast.
They do say Western Oregon, but it encompasses like the Willamette Valley and everything. So I guess technically Eugene considers themselves part of Western Oregon.
Fine. Okay. There you go, Eugene. Full
I don't know.
video episodes are up every week on our YouTube channel at Glaucomfleckens. We also have a Patreon. Lots of cool things. We're doing a lot more over there. We react to medical shows and movies, hang out with other members of the community, early ad-free episode access, other events, patreon.com/Glaucomflecken or go to glaucomflecken.com. Speaking of Patreon community perks, shout out to the Jonathans, Lucia C., Edward K., Marion W., Mr. Granddaddy, Caitlin C. Brown L., MP Cole, Tracy B., Mary H., Keith G., Parker Muhammad L., David H., Kaylee A., Gabe, Eric B., Marlene S., Scott M., Kelsey M., Dr. Hoover, Sean M., Ryan N., Jess K., Hawkeye MD, Bobby Salt, and Johnny D. Patreon roulette time. Random shout out to someone in the emergency medicine tier. Shout out to Susan E. for being a patron. Thank you all for listening. We're your hosts, Will and Kristin Flannery, also known as the Glaucomfleckens. Executive producers are Will Flannery, Kristin Flannery, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Bricka. Editor and engineer Jason Portiza. Our music is by Omer Bensby. To learn about Knock Knock High's program disclaimer and ethics policy, submission verification, and licensing terms and HIPAA release terms, go to glaucomflecken.com or reach out to us, knockknockhigh@human-content.com with questions, concerns, or those fun medical puns. Knock Knock High is a human content production.
Knock, knock, goodbye.
Thanks for watching the episode. You can find more on that playlist over there. If you prefer to listen or you just had your eyes dilated, you can binge full episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Or join the party over on Patreon, where you get early access episodes, hang out with us, get lots of exclusive bonus content. Help you subscribe, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think.